Happy baby shower. Baby Truro. Oh. Hello and welcome back to Melody and Grit. This week is another nesting vlog, so I'm taking you along for two really specific areas of nesting. The last 2 weeks I did sort of spotlights on different facets of homemaking. Last week was a meal planning video, so if you're interested in tips for meal planning or my menu, you can go ahead and check that out. It's going to be linked in the description. And then the week before, that spotlight was on home organization and how I was organizing my home for the nesting stage. So go back and check out that video. Lots of great tips as well. This week, however, there's a part 1 and a part 2 to this video. So part 1 is everything I did differently for my baby shower. So things you don't normally see. And then part 2 is going to be things that I've already checked off my nesting checklist. So there'll be timestamps in the description so you can follow along, skip ahead, skip around, and get the information that you need. So first of all, I just want to say that my mother and my mother-in-law planned, executed, and took care of my entire shower. I was so blessed and so lucky to have them do that. If you've ever planned a shower before, you know what a large undertaking that is, especially for a large amount of people. However, I was also lucky enough to have them really hear me out on what I wanted to happen at the shower. So I did a lot of things that were not traditional, and that, definitely threw people's expectations of usual baby showers. And I did this because I just wanted to shake things up. I'm not saying that you can't have an enjoyable shower for everyone involved if you do things the traditional way, but I just knew that I wanted to do things a little bit differently. Okay, so the most major difference I would say from my shower compared to other showers that I've been to is that I did not open gifts for everyone at one specific designated time. And everyone brought their gift unwrapped. And before you say that, certain people would never stand for this in your life and that you can never pull it off, hear me out. Here's how I worded it up front. It read like this: please bring your gift unwrapped. Brady will receive everyone's gift as they enter so as to spend the most amount of time possible with everyone. So first of all, this does a couple of things. It gives everyone really clear expectations of what is going to happen, and almost no one came with their gift wrapped. It's going to happen with a few people. They might just skim the invitation or totally forget, or, sometimes they may just really want to wrap it, and you can't get upset about that. The goal is for the majority of those gifts to be unwrapped as people walk in. Second, it still gave people the opportunity to show me what they got me. I stood at a receiving table along with my husband while everybody walked in with their gift, and no one lingered too long because there was a line. Then my wording gave people an understanding of why I was doing this, so as to spend the most amount of time with everyone possible. So when people walked in, I got to greet them, I got to receive their gift, give them a hug, and have an intimate moment receiving or opening their gift with them. And you never get to do this when you're opening gifts for a crowd. I got a moment with absolutely everyone at the shower, and this is so rare. This whole process also avoided any awkwardness that comes up when you're opening gifts for a crowd. Everyone is usually wondering how their gift measures up to the person next to them and is sort of sitting on pins and needles the entire time. And then if you get duplicates, which happens even when there are registries, people feel really awkward about that. And this just avoided that whole hurt feelings or anything that would come along with that. Not to mention, it took about 30 minutes for me to get through the receiving line. That is a fraction of the time that it would have taken had I been opening gifts for a crowd. And the second thing that I did differently at my baby shower was that my husband was there with me the entire time. A lot of showers are for the ladies only, and I did only invite the women in my life as guests, but I needed my husband there because it just made sense. It's his baby as well. He had a great time socializing with everyone. He received all the gifts with me because they're for his child as well. And not to mention, he is the much more research-driven, much more tech-savvy one of us. So he really created almost the entire registry and helped me decipher which baby products that were best for us. So it really just made so much sense to have him there. Not to mention, a lot of his mother's friends watched him grow up, and I've only met them a few times, so they were so excited to see him and get to spend time with him as well. And then the third thing we did differently is that we had a lot of games, and I'm not talking word searches, crossword puzzles, or name that whatever game. We had lots of interactive games where you have to get up on your feet, things like Pass the Baby is a Hot Potato, baby doll, obviously, where there was music and everyone had to stand up. We played an icebreaker game where people had to actually mingle with people that they might not know, and it got super competitive and was super fun. And I knew that I wanted this to be a part of my shower because, first of all, I love games, but second of all, I really didn't want it to be boring. I didn't want people glued to their seat the whole time, and this just totally avoided that. And not to mention, we had tons of extra time because I didn't open gifts for everyone. So we had all this time and something to do with it. And the final thing that we did differently, and this has become commonplace nowadays, but we had all of the guests bring a children's book in lieu of a card to the shower. So if you do this, I highly recommend either specifying the guests to sign the card in Sharpie or having a Sharpie there present for guests to sign their book. We ended up with a lot of books where they got separated from the gift and we weren't sure who exactly got us the books, so that is just a fair warning. But either way that it shakes out, your baby is going to have this library of very personal, hand-picked books from the people that matter most in their life. So it's really special. It's a nice thing to do, and you can always tell people no pressure if you can't, but we would love to receive books in lieu of cards. I hope that all of these things inspire you to think outside the box for your shower. You obviously want to be accommodating and respect those that are throwing the shower for you, but I encourage you to have an open, honest conversation about the things you might want to do differently. You will be shocked at how open people are, and this was the case for me. My mom and my mother-in-law were so delighted that I wouldn't be opening gifts for an hour, and it was just such a success. We had such a great time, and I'm so happy that we did things the way we did. All right, so just got home from the shower. Got home a couple hours ago, and it was amazing. I feel so blessed and so showered with love, and I'm just so excited for all of those people to meet our baby. And I'm gonna show you the room right now because there's so much stuff. We're so lucky. Welcome to part 2 of this video. Thank you so much if you've made it this long and watched part 1. This part is everything that I've already checked off my nesting checklist, and I am about 6 weeks away from my due date, so that may give you a little bit of an idea. And first of all, I just want to say that I am so grateful we made a nesting checklist. It is in the Notes app on our phones. It's a shared note, so anytime we need to change things or revise things or check something off, we both get an update, and this has been so helpful. My husband and I are both a little bit on the forgetful side, and we just have a lot going on right now. There's so much to prepare for. Everything's new. it really behooves you to write everything down and have it in one central place. So some things we did early that didn't even make it onto our checklist were painting the nursery. We got it this beautiful shade called Sands of Time, and you can see that behind me. We set up the crib, we got our car seat, and we just did general furniture things. So we didn't need to have that on our nesting checklist. But the big project that I started with was cleaning all of the baby's clothes. And this was so much more tedious than I thought, not because it's laundry, but because all of their clothes have tiny plastic tags all over them. There is a shocking amount. So you really want to make sure that you cut all those off because you don't want them sticking to their skin or being uncomfortable or washing them too many times with the plastic. So really go through all of those clothes thoroughly and make sure all of the tags are cut out. You also want to make sure that you have a baby safe detergent. I've heard horrible things about, I think it's Draft. So don't use that one, but I really trust Molly's Suds. I have that linked in the caption and on my blog post. So I use those. I don't notice like a very strong odor from the clothes and everything feels very clean. So absolutely recommend that detergent. So once I got all of those clothes clean, I sorted them by how big they were and how small they were, so by size, and then I put them in the drawers and on hangers accordingly, which took about an hour, 2 hours, but it made me feel so much better. I'm so happy that that's done. It's a huge load off, so just be prepared for that to take a little bit more time than you might anticipate. All right, so I'm gonna take this downstairs to wash. It's a lot of baby stuff, socks, washcloths, swaddlers included within the baby clothes, and I'm using Molly's Suds baby detergent. I'll link that in my nesting blog as well in the description below. The next project I worked on wasn't directly baby related. It was more for myself and for my husband, but I worked on our clothes closet, particularly our walk-in closet. I also have my vanity in here, so I want to make sure that I always have a nice place to get ready and that it feels fresh. So I did a full purge of that closet and made sure that things were set up in a really nice way that I felt good getting ready in. I also made a space in our kitchen specifically for our bottle sterilizer, and then I cleared out a huge drawer just for bottle and feeding supplies. So I'm so happy that I did this in advance. I'm not going to have to wrestle with a bunch of things in the kitchen and worry about things becoming contaminated from not being sterilized and so on and so forth. This is just a huge load off. I still have to sterilize all those parts. I just didn't want to do so too early. So that is all in motion. Now, aside from dusting every surface that I see, my husband and I moved the couch and cleaned behind the couch. If you think that you are really getting under there with the vacuum wand and really making sure you get in the nooks and crannies, I can promise you, if you don't move that couch, you're not. You will be shocked at the amount of dust you have or find, especially if you have pets. I'm so glad we did that. And then we also took a lot of the vent covers off and dusted and washed them. I just feel so much better about the air our baby will be breathing, especially because we'll be spending so much time indoors in the beginning. So just to look ahead, some of the nitty-gritty things that I still need to do to get ready for the baby are to stock my postpartum cart. And not everyone decides to do this, but I really thought that it would be best for us because I can transfer that cart from my bedside to where I'll be nursing him at the rocker. So it'll just be really convenient to be able to wheel something around and not have to have duplicates of everything everywhere. So I need to stock that, make sure I have all my supplies. I also obviously, like I said, need to sterilize everything. And I also need to get my freezer really stocked for postpartum meals. I have a lot of dietary restrictions, so a meal train really isn't an option. But I love prep cooking and I love cooking in general, so making things in advance is super easy for me. I've already made some chili and some other things, but mainly I'll be prepping crock pot meals, some energy bites that are great for lactation like flaxseed and oats, just things like that. And then also breakfast foods I've heard is just really key to have. So I can't wait to show you all of that in a future video. I'll also be sharing a lot of those little nesting vlogs on my Instagram so you can follow along there. And I will see you all next week.